So welcome to week 14, section 12, I think, because I missed last week. So the weeks didn't stop, but the sections did. Yeah, I'll go with that. Okay, so what we're going to do this week is something similar to, well, we're going to do the assignment 4, but using HTML5 video instead of JW Player. So I'm starting it off with this JS fiddle, which, as you can see, just includes a video tag and the div and spans that were in the assignment 4 that I just copy pasted from that. Whereas a div of transcript containing the span of all the words with the data start and data duration. So just checking this actually works. So that's good. So what we're going to do is follow along with the text, right? We're going to highlight the sentences. Is it sentences? No, it's just random divisions in the text. When this was first done, it was probably split into a closed captioning file first, automatically, the way like maybe YouTube does their closed captioning files, where it just tries to find a good breakpoint. It's not always a great breakpoint in between each caption. So anyway, we've got that in the HTML. We've got this in the CSS. I just have a highlight class of background color yellow. That's what I'm going to be highlighting these with as it goes through. And I have width equals 100 for the NASA promo. I could change that. I forget why I did that. I think I wanted to be able to just sort of shrink this a little bit because the video doesn't matter as much as the text. At a certain point, you stop caring about Dwayne Johnson and what the video is saying. So, the first thing we're going to start off with is we're going to get the video element. Documents. NASA promo. So what are we going to do with this?
What was the question?
We're going to run through this, and as it's playing, we're going to highlight each section that's playing at the current time. So we're going to need to listen to the video, right? I mean, well, we're going to need to set up an event handler for the video. On what? We can look it up. We can say, let's try to look it up. Video element. Events. So properties. These are the events that we can do. Abort. Can play through, duration change, emptied, ended, blah, 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 blah. So let's say on time update, which is not quite every second, but it's every half second-ish. check to see if it's working. You can see it's calling this every less than a second. So we're going to need to get the current time and check it against the spans. So every time we time update, we'll get the current time, right? We'll just call it time. Vid dot, and what is the current time on this? It is current time, and it's a property, not a method, and the T is capital. So as you can see, the time is being output to the console now. Every time it's being updated. Let's stop it.
You don't need the parentheses on current time because it's an object. Is that why?
I don't need you mean to do this?
Yeah.
Because it's not a method, it's a property. If it were a method, if it were a video method, I would need the parens. But because it's a property, it's like just a value.
Okay.
So we have the current time. So for every change in time, we want to check all of our spans to see if we're in the time for that. So how do we look through all of our spans? We have let's see, we have a transcript. We have a div ID of transcript, and we have each of these spans has a class of words, a data start, a data duration, and some text inside. So we could do a for each. Let's use jQuery.
So each?
So, which would be each, yeah. Each. I believe it's the same as I believe it's the same as for each, where you have an index first and then the item. So each time we go through one of these, we're going to need to get the start time of the transcript. Equals, this would be the item dot, do we know how to get the data start from this item? Adder, but adder would mean that we have to do it this way, which is fine. We have to wrap it in the jQuery syntax so that it becomes a jQuery object.
Right.
So we can use adder. Guess I've never really said that out loud. Adder sounds good. I like adder. So we want data start. And then duration being the same thing. Is it just data dir? And then let's get the end time. Sorry, we don't actually have the end time. We have to calculate the end time. So that would be what? It would just be start plus dir. And let's console log those out to make sure we're getting what we expect to get. Does that make sense? I'm printing the start plus a string that's a plus the duration, plus a string that's an equals, plus the end.
And in the first part of that, you get you're asking for all the items with word as class, right? So you're going to get back an array, and then
Yes.
the function is going to work on the array.
Yeah, this gets back it's not quite an array, but it's a list of a list of or collection of jQuery objects. So if I run this and start it, all right, let me stop and let's take a look at the results here because they look a little weird, right? Can you see what looks weird about that? Any idea why? That's right. It's because it's because we're concatenating and we're concatenating at this step, and we're not actually getting the values to add together. So we could use parse int to sort of force these into the right format, but parse int would actually not give us the decimal places. So we're actually going to use parse float because we want to retain those decimal places. And this looks more right. You can see some really cool floating point precision errors in JavaScript right here. Yeah. But we don't really care too much about that. Not right now. All right, so we have the start, duration, and end. And we want to highlight these when the current time is in between start and end. Right? Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right. So if time is less than or equal to greater than or equal to start, and time is less than or equal to end, then we want to highlight it. So how can we highlight it, given that we have a highlight class here with jQuery? This is a reasonably important one. I don't know if it's actually important. I use it a lot.
CSS.
Let's add class.
That's true.
If it's not in those, then want to make a guess? That's right. Remove class.
So you're selecting on item. Could you also select on word?
Well, you mean words?
Yeah.
Words is going to give me an array. It's going to give me the full set of all of them.
Right.
I want the specific one that we're on.
Right. Okay.
So that's why I'm using item. All right, maybe that works. Let's find out. So something that's really annoying about this is that the speaking doesn't actually start until 21 seconds in. So
you have to like watch the beginning.
you have to watch that a lot of times, and then eventually, there it goes. Okay, 18 seconds in or so. And it seems to be working. Is that yellow good enough to see? So that seems to be working. Let's say we don't want to watch those first 18 seconds all the time. We could set the start at a different time. Knowing that the video current time is this and it's a property, any idea how we could do that?
Start whatever the end time is.
If we just set the current time to 20 and then we say vid, I'm going to guess it's play. It's not really a guess. I did this earlier. But yeah, it's play. So it's going to autoplay at, let's put it at 17 or something. It should be, yeah. So it started at 17 and immediately got to the first text item. So what was the other thing I was going to do? Oh, clicking on one. We want to, if we click on one of these, it'll seek to that location. So this would be a different listener, and it would listen on what, do you think? We've got transcript, words.
Click.
Yeah, it'll listen on click to what? We could do it on words, but then that would be creating a bunch of clicks. It would be creating a different click for each word element. So we should probably look at transcript.
Oh, okay. You could even go higher up, right? You could even put it on set div.
Yeah, you could probably
That's
put
the
it
div,
higher
right?
up. Yeah, that's the div that that all the spans are in. So on the click to the transcript, we invoke this function, which has an event, and I want to say event.target. Yes, event.target. Event.target is what we're looking for, I think. Let's check. Console log event.target. Let's see what that gives us. Let's also make sure that we're not logging anything to the console anymore. Oh, I need to rerun this. Alright, so when I click on this, it's giving me gold medals. Yeah, that looks right.
And target is a property of that.
Of the event that's being passed to the click listener.
And event comes from the method. From the function.
Event comes from the click listener. From when you click. So
That's kind of confusing because it comes like out of thin air.
this is not out of thin air. There's a predefined sort of template for click functions for click listeners, and it happens to get that data. For a lot of methods have that. That doesn't make it less out of thin air, but whatever. So on a click, we want to just take that event.target and seek to it. So how would we do that? We want to get the start time from the target, and then we want to seek to that location, which I always forget. It is
Seek back there was a seek
there,
method, I think,
I don't think there's a seek method actually. I'll try, complete, type, load, play, pause. But for seeking, it's actually, you shouldn't overthink it, because all we're doing when we're seeking to a location is we're changing current time, right? So we can just set the current time equal to whatever that is. So let's get the start time here. Is it dash time? No, it's data start. What are we doing with that?
Yeah, it gives you the start time of where you click.
Of where you clicked, yeah. And then all we need to do is say vid dot current time equals start. Probably. So if I click here, and what's nice about that is that this part will highlight it for me when I click it, because when I click it, I'm changing the current time, which is invoking the time update. And the time update is looking at the current time and what element is underneath of it, and it's highlighting it. So yeah, la-di-da. That's that. Now, for the assignment, I believe you're using JW Player, which is a nice player that allows for sort of a flash fallback option. I don't like JW Player, but it's fine. It works. I'm more into video.js, which is an open source application that sort of, JW Player is more focused on the Flash end of it, and they have sort of a, I don't know how to describe that. They're more geared toward code, whereas video.js is more geared towards using the existing HTML5 element. It'll actually sort of add to the element, as opposed to it builds on the element rather than JW Player, which builds the element out of like a div or something else.
What about support? Like most things, HTML5 is.
Well, that's just it. Video.js does have a Flash fallback, so it essentially does the same thing. I'm just using this because it's
They're
different.
more in line with the spec.
Kind of, yeah. They still make you change it a little bit, but they allow you to do things that you can't do with normal with the normal video, like supplying multiple formats. Like the WebM format doesn't really apply to this one, but if you have something in the WebM format, not all browsers will accept that format. So you can put multiple formats in. You can put the WebM format, and then you can also put the MP4 format, and it'll choose which one is best based on the browser you're in. So I'm going to have to make a couple of changes to this. Actually, maybe I can just look at the getting started and figure it out from here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to have to do is add in this CSS and this JavaScript file. I think I already did that over here, but when you're doing that in JS Fiddle, that's adding external resources. So all I did here was I copied the CDN version here. I copied this link, and I put it in there and I added it. And that's what those two files are. So we add the video tag, which we already have, so we just need to alter it slightly. Because they allow multiple sources, we don't have a source attribute anymore. We actually have a source nested element here. So that's a small change that we need to make.
It looks like the picture tag, actually. It's structured like the picture tag. We have multiple sources.
Yeah. Source, what is it? Source? Yeah, source. Just copy this and then change it. So I'll take this, put it in here, take out the source from the video. And what else do I need to do? Added the source. I need to add the class, video.js, and the default skin. What else do I need to do? Controls. It's not controls equals true. I don't know if that really matters, but I'll set that. I think the one that does matter, I don't think width and height matter. Poster is an image that you can put in to sort of to show when nothing is playing on the, or before you've started playing. So it doesn't have to load the video, it can just load that image and throw it in the player. And then data setup, I'm not actually changing any of these options, so this is going to be empty. It's just going to be an empty JSON object. All right. So you'll see it loaded the player, and the player is working. You can see it skinned it slightly different because it used the default video.js skin. But it's not working anymore. It's saying vid.play is not a function. Vid.play is not a function. Why is that? Because vid is getting the NASA promo, which is the video object, right? Kind of. If we look at the actual HTML here, we can see that video.js has turned NASA promo into a div, and it's added a video object underneath the div. Because it's sort of encapsulating all of the video.js stuff inside of its own div.
With those
And I mean, this, what I made here, when I made these changes, when I added data setup, when I put the source in here especially, that's no longer a valid video object. Because it doesn't have a source, an SRC. Yeah. So it needed to sort of create the source underneath of it. And if this browser didn't support the video object, if it didn't support the video tag, it would have fallen back to a Flash player, which it would have put inside of that div. So we can't use the same code. We have to alter this code. We could get the, we could do like a vid equals, I'm going to say NASA promo, get the NASA promo object, and then we'll find the video object within the NASA promo object. And we could get the object that way, but then we're still using this object. We're using the video object and not the video.js player. So if we were in a browser that didn't have the video object, this wouldn't exist. So this will probably work.
So what does that give you? That gives you an array. Find gives you an array of elements.
Find does a search. Find does a search within this div, within this whatever this is.
Okay.
So it finds it finds all of the video objects within the NASA promo, whatever it is, div in this case, and then this returns the 0th element of that. Which returns a DOM object instead of a jQuery object. But that's not really what we want to do. We can get it working that way, but that's not really what we want to do. We want to make vid a video.js object, which we do by looking at this, maybe. Okay, it's probably not in setup. Where is it? Docs? Where's the API? I lost it. Why am I not finding the API? Not the full. So, okay, this is where we get the actual player. We get the player, the video.js player object by invoking this function with the ID of the div that's containing the video.js object. We'll call it myvid so it's a little different. Equals, what was it, video, it was just video.js. NASA promo. So now we have myvid. Let's leave that in for now.
Does it have a current time property as well?
It maybe does. If I could find the API, that would be much easier to show. I don't know why I can't find it. That's not what I'm looking for. Yes, this is what I'm looking for. Okay. So this is the video.js API docs. That's what we did. So we're looking for current time here, which is right here, current time. But it's not a property, it's a method. So what does that mean? That means the way we use it is slightly different. We need the parens on the end. To set the current time, we would have to put a number in the parens. To get the current time, we would just have an empty set of parens. So right here, we're actually setting the time. So, and then play. Does play exist? Oh, that's not going to be helpful. Play does exist, yeah. So we can leave that one alone. That functions probably the same way. That seems to be working. But we want to replace all references of vid with myvid. So we're not making use of the video object, we're making use of the video.js object. So let's do myvid add event listener.
And all this is just JavaScript or jQuery or JavaScript, so it should be all the same.
Most of it will be the same, yeah. It'll just be anything that has vid in front of it we gotta change. So add event listener doesn't exist for here, so why not? Because they use the same thing jQuery uses. They use on. Clear this. So this appears to be working. Where's the next thing of vid? Here. We already know current time is a method, not a property. So we just change that. Where's our next vid? That's it for that. Right? Yeah. And we've got one down here. So there. Now we're no longer using the HTML5 object, we're using video.js. All right, that's it. I'll put this up on the announcement and on the YouTube, and I'll have this posted in well, whoever's watching this probably posted it already. You would be watching it, right? Yep. So that concludes everything. It's been a pleasure.